When I'm left to my own devices, I do not take very good care of my home. I have often said that if I was my own legal guardian and the government saw how I lived, they would probably take me away from myself. The other day, I asked Matt to grab me a shirt from the pile of clothes on the couch, and I had to specify which pile. I went to a wedding last week and I didn't need to pack because the suitcase I took home with me for Thanksgiving was still in the front hallway ready to go. I have gone so long without doing the dishes that last night I stood over the sink with a book of matches, wondering if trying to wash them would be more trouble than just burning the whole place down and starting over fresh somewhere else. Don't worry, I didn't do it. The sink was wet, so the flame didn't light. There is only one time when my place isn't foul, and that's when I know that someone else is coming over. The mere thought of anyone seeing me in my natural habitat is all it takes for me to get up off my butt and have my place looking clean enough to eat in. I know that that's a low bar, but under normal circumstances, I probably shouldn't be eating in my apartment. Other people truly are the best motivator in the world. They can get you to do things that you wouldn't normally do for yourself. And that's not just true for the well-being of my apartment. It also works for the well-being of me, which is why I use Trainwell. Trainwell is personal training for the way people actually live today. It connects you with real human trainers who create personalized workouts for you to do on your own schedule. I absolutely love my trainer, Justin. When I first signed up, we had a video conference where we discussed my training goals, and from that point on, he was with me every step of the way. He scheduled workouts based on my goals, and he adjusted them as we went to suit my needs. You have no idea how many times I had to tell him, actually, I'm too weak to do that. And when I did, he changed things up. I was actually traveling a lot when I started Trainwell, so I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to keep up with my plan. But that turned out not to be an issue. I just told Justin what I had access to where I was, and he gave me workouts based on that. And then on days when I just couldn't find the time, it was very easy to push my workout to the next day. And I'm already noticing results. I've been feeling better, my arms have gotten bigger, and I think my posture might be better. I didn't even know that that was a thing that could happen, but I've been standing up straighter since I started, and I think that's from working out. Truth told, I had been wanting to try weightlifting for a while, but I was kind of embarrassed. I felt like I had waited too long to start, so I just never did it. Having someone else to guide me over that hump really helped me. And if this sounds like you, then maybe it can help you too. Right now, Trainwell has a special offer for my viewers. So scan the QR code on screen or click my link below to get 14 days free with your own personal trainer. Like I said, getting started was the hardest part, and Trainwell is giving you that for free, so yeah, no excuses. With Trainwell, I feel like I've got my personal fitness taken care of for me, so I can focus on improving my life in other ways. Like by cleaning my apartment. I mean, I'm probably not going to do that, but I could. For whatever reason, a large portion of the videos I've been watching on here recently have been ghost related. It's mostly just compilations of clips that have been stolen from around the internet. 90% of them are clearly camera glitches, and the other 10% are very obvious hoaxes such as this. And that is my absolute favorite clip on the internet. But it is also stupid. This is all very stupid. Still, I watch this stuff anyway, and based on the view counts on some of these things, I'm not the only one. Ghosts are big business on YouTube. If something that I made got even a fraction of the clicks that Spooky Ghost Compilation Challenge number 7 parentheses try to make it till the end got, it would easily be my most watched video ever. So I figured, why not try to get in on that market? Because the truth is that I have my own ghost story to tell. Maybe. Or maybe not. But I'm just gonna tell it and let you guys decide. It all started a couple of years ago when my friends and I did what we call our fall day. There aren't a huge amount of trees where we live, so once a year when the weather gets crisp, we make an effort to get out of the city and do all that basic autumnal shit that everyone makes fun of white people for. We ended up on a farm in New Jersey where we did all the classics, you know? We picked pumpkins, we fed goats. We fed goats some more. I feel like I spent a lot of time feeding the goats because I like goats. They're silly and they look deranged when they eat. And once we had had our fill of all the fresh air and were ready to return to the slow, stressful death that is urban living, we made one last necessary stop in the attached store. For the most part, it was your standard farmer's market. It had apples and donuts and cider and all sorts of other things that we probably could have gotten at our local grocer, but they felt more special there because they were being sold on a farm. If you kept walking past that stuff though, eventually you got to a section of the store that I had never seen at other shops of this ilk. Like, I promise I'm not just saying this to make my ghost story sound spookier, because, well, you'll see as I go on that it's still not particularly spooky even with this detail. But I swear to God, this part of the store just wasn't lit up. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't utter darkness or anything like that. You could see, but only because the lights from the other side bled over a little bit. It was clear that the owners were making no effort to highlight the items placed back there, which was weird because for my money, that was where all the cool stuff was. Basically, it was just a couple of dusty shelves covered in a lot of art. And it wasn't the normal art that you'd see at a farmer's market of like a scarecrow holding a glass of wine saying like, keep calm and pumpkin on. Unlike everything else they were selling, this stuff didn't seem mass-produced. There was only one of everything, and it looked like someone had worked on each item individually. So yeah, I stood in the shadows in the back of that store and combed through all the pieces, and eventually I came across one and thought, I want that. Which was kind of weird. Because here's the thing, I'm not a huge art guy. To this day, I think this painting is the only piece of art that I've ever purchased. Actually, no, that's not true. I once was very drunk in a street market in New Orleans, and I did buy a print of a rabbit smoking a cigarette. That said though, drunk purchases don't count, and this was the only art I ever purchased sober. So yeah, I don't know what was compelling me to do it. Especially because it was not cheap. I paid $80 for it, which I guess in the grand scheme of things is pretty affordable for a painting, but that is still way more than I personally should be spending on backroom barnyard outsider art. Still, I wanted it. Something in me was saying I should buy it, so I did. And I took it home and hung it up on my wall, and it's been with me ever since. And yeah, here it is. As you can see, it is painted on 2 wooden slabs that have been crudely pieced together, and it depicts what appears to be an angel holding a crow. It kind of exists in that fun middle ground of art where it's hard to tell what's a stylistic choice and what's the result of limitations. I sometimes wonder if I could track down the artist who made this, if they would be able to draw a hyper-realistic angel woman in 3-point perspective if they wanted to, or if this is just what flows out of their soul when they put brush to reclaimed fence picket. A much larger part of me, though, hopes that I never learn a goddamn thing about whoever made this, because I think that would kind of suck the fun out of it. I like that it's this weird thing I found without a lot of explanation, so if I had any explanation, that would ruin it. As things are now, I get to find my own meaning in it, which I think is sort of the point of art. For me personally, it's about duality. You have the angel, which represents good and light and life, and the crow, which represents evil and darkness and death, and they both exist on these two boards that don't really fit together, but are still one thing. And that's kind of what life is. A bunch of opposites all crammed together that it's up to us to try and make sense of. And again, I'm not sure what the actual intent was, that's just how I view it. But if it turned out that this was something that a 13-year-old girl slathered onto some scrap she found at a construction site in an attempt to make a quick buck in her mom's farmer's market, I would feel very dumb for intellectualizing it like I just did. Alright, I'm gonna go put her back on the wall now because, well, I'm looking in my monitor and I'm pretty sure she's staring at me. So. But yeah, as you can probably tell, I love my angel, creepy as it may be. I hung it up above my little dining area, so it kind of looms over my apartment looking down on us. I am very happy with my purchase. Unfortunately, Matt does not feel the same way. He thought this thing was dark-sided from the get. In my defense, he did give me permission to buy it and hang it up in his home, but I kind of think that's only because he thought I wouldn't actually do it, because he does seem genuinely creeped out by its presence. He told me he thought it was haunted the moment I picked it up, but he didn't really have anything to base that on besides the fact that it really looks like it is. At least not for a while. About 2 years after I bought the painting, Matt and I were sitting on the couch watching TV when over our shoulders we heard a bubbling noise. "Did you turn on the coffee machine?" he asked, and of course I said no, because if I have caffeine after 4 p.m., I will be awake for the next 72 hours. So yeah, it was weird. But I also feel like appliances make weird sounds all the time, so we didn't really think too much of it. Until it happened again the next night. And the next night after that. For about a year now, my coffee machine has turned itself on just about every evening at 7:54. And both Matt and I jump a little bit whenever it does. And before you guys go commenting, I'm not an idiot. I know that my machine probably has some timer function. But then again, I am an idiot, so I super don't know how to figure out if it does. A logical mind would conclude that Matt or I probably hit some button without realizing it, but unfortunately it's hard for the logical mind to stay logical when it's totally creeped out. Because the thing is that we keep our coffee machine directly underneath where the painting is hung. So every time the noise of it powering up causes us to reflexively turn our heads, it's hard not to look slightly up and let our minds wander. Especially because if this is a mechanical thing, then you would think that it would go off every night like clockwork without fail, but occasionally it doesn't. I'm not sure what that's about, but it creeps me out just as much as when it does. Still, if it were just the coffee machine, I don't think I would be making this video. But there have been other things. Stupid things, to be sure, but they happen. For example, in a horror movie, the pets are often the first to notice when something's not right. And my dog has definitely noticed the painting. We have a cat tower located directly across from where it's hung that he likes to hang out on for some reason. And one night, he decided to stare directly at it and bark uncontrollably. Also, now that I'm talking about it, I'm realizing that the placement of everything means that when he does hang out up there, he's more than likely looking at the angel. I'm not sure if that's actually what's happening, but that could explain why my dog spends so much time on a cat tower. So there are also just a lot of weird things that happen around my place, which on paper don't really have anything to do with the painting, but once she's already a suspect, it's hard not to pin the charges on her. I'll spend an hour looking for something I lost, only to find it in a spot I thought I already checked. Sometimes I'll hear a loud crash from the other room, and I'll see that something fell off the shelf, despite the fact that I don't remember it being all that precariously placed. I think that the weirdest one was this time when we turned off the TV, and about a minute later, we just hear the Netflix sound playing on a black screen. And I don't know if you guys have ever actually listened to the Netflix sound, but out of context, it is terrifying. It's like, dun dun. There was a second after it happened where I genuinely thought like, oh shit, am I gonna die right now? And again, all of these things have logical explanations. Like as far as me losing stuff is concerned, I think that's probably just ADHD because that shit will make you so misplaceful that you start to question reality. Electronics glitch, things fall, my dog is really weird. If you were to put a gun to my head and ask me if I actually think that the painting I bought from a New Jersey petting zoo is haunted, I'd probably say no. But that said, every night when my Keurig starts to gurgle, it's hard not to have the thought, however fleeting, what if there is something else here right now? And I'm not gonna lie, that does creep me out. I feel silly saying this as a full-grown adult, but I'm actually very afraid of ghosts, and I have been for my entire life. I honestly don't even know if anyone else knows the extent of my fears, because they've mostly only been an issue at night. When I get into bed and try to fall asleep, my body enters into this weird, hyper-receptive fugue state where any minor snap, crackle, or pop will cause me to jump up, my heart racing. And before some of you go trying to defend me by saying maybe you're just worried about all threats, it's not necessarily ghosts. Thank you, but no, it is. Whenever I'm like that, I always have the same image running through my head of some phantasmal shape sitting at the foot of my bed, just watching me. Ugh. It's become less of an issue since I started sharing a bed with someone because I feel like having someone else there to monitor the room means that I can let my guard down a little bit. Still, whenever Matt goes on one of his fishing trips with Ron and I'm left alone, I always revert back to my old ways. And it's always genuinely shocking how severe my anxieties can get at night. I truly have no idea how I used to function when this was actually an issue. And what's weird is that even though my fear of ghosts is so intense that I've lost sleep over it, I'm still not entirely sure what I'm so afraid of. I'm not worried a ghost will hurt me. Honestly, based on what I believe about them, I don't think they could if they wanted to. I guess their association with death does make them a little bit unnerving, but if anything, they should be comforting in that regard. Seeing one would prove the existence of an afterlife. So what am I scared of death for? My best guess for why they're scary is just that having anything invade your home like that is scary. And while I think that's definitely part of it, I also think that there's more to it than that. After all, I think that the main reason having your space invaded is so scary is because it feels like a threat. But like I said, they don't really pose much of a threat because they can't really do anything to you. And even if they could, what the hell do you care? Worst case scenario, you just become a ghost. I feel like I've just taken for granted the fact that ghosts are scary for my entire life without ever really questioning why. And since I couldn't really come up with any great answers when I did question why, I decided to see what other people thought. So I turned to Twitter and asked my followers, are you afraid of ghosts? Why or why not? And I actually ended up getting a lot of responses, most of which were just people saying, no, they're not, because ghosts aren't real. And at first that didn't feel real helpful, but the more I thought about it, the more it actually did clear a lot of things up for me. Because by saying that they're not afraid of them because they don't exist, they kind of implied that they would be afraid of them if they did exist, which would mean that what's scary about ghosts is their mere existence. I feel like I may be making a few logical leaps there, but it did feel like a satisfying explanation because at the very least, it's definitely true for me. Like I said, my biggest fear is seeing one. My mind never really goes any further than just me being in a situation where I'm forced to confront the idea that ghosts exist. So yeah, I think that's it. But for as satisfying as that explanation feels to me, it still doesn't really explain anything. Because there's still the question of why their existence is scary. I wanted to keep digging, and since I feel like I wasn't getting much from Twitter, I decided to do my own research by watching more of those ghost compilation YouTube videos that started this all. Also, I just like watching them. I do that a lot in my free time. So I did, and after doing so, I have 3 main takeaways. 1, these are all very stupid. I simply cannot stress that enough. 2, they always present multiple different videos, not just one. I guess that's pretty obvious when I'm discussing compilations, but I think it's important to say anyway, because 3, most of those multiple different videos do not make a lot of cohesive sense when you look at them all together. One thing I'm always struck by with ghost videos is how many different things a ghost can be. Sometimes it's a glowing orb, and sometimes it's a full-on apparition. They can take the form of a haunted doll, or some garbled static, or a slamming cabinet, or any number of other things that don't really have that much in common besides the fact that they're all weird, and we decided that they were all ghosts. And sometimes they aren't even ghosts. I think my biggest takeaway from watching those ghost compilations is that only about 1/3 of what's shown is actually phantasmal in nature. Most of them also include clips of UFOs and cryptids, and one thing that's really popular nowadays, which are glitches in the Matrix. And those are exactly what they sound like. They're kind of just anything that makes it seem like the world we live in is a computer simulation that's glitching out. The example I can remember off the top of my head is this video where a guy sees the reflection of an orange car in a store's window, but he can't find an orange car anywhere in the actual parking lot. Which, yeah, creepy, but super not a ghost. That said though, I get why stuff like that would be included in the same lists as ghosts, because in a lot of ways, ghosts are glitches. And so are UFOs, and so are cryptids, and so are just about any other paranormal thing you can think of. They're all deviations from reality, you know? Things that can't exist according to the rules of the world as we know them. And based on that, I'm tempted to say that the existence of ghosts is scary because it means that we don't really know anything. Being in a situation where you have no choice but to accept that they're real would kind of call everything else you believe to be true into question. The more I think about it though, the more I think that's not actually the case, because most people already know that we don't have all the answers. And the ones who don't probably aren't about to have their beliefs uprooted by something as small as a ghost. Honestly, I think that the opposite might be true. They're not scary because they expand our perception of what the world is. They're scary because they limit our perception of what the world can be. Because of my last video, I've been thinking a lot about Bigfoot recently. And one thing that always strikes me about him is just how boring he is when you actually stop to think about it. Like, he's a primate. We already have those. What makes him interesting isn't him, it's the fact that he's elusive. Or doesn't exist. Us not really knowing what's going on there allows people to project whatever they want onto him. If the day ever comes when we catch a Bigfoot, then all that's going to happen is that we'll study him and learn what he eats and eventually he'll just become another ape. And that goes for ghosts as well. Once you see one, then they become real, which kind of sucks. I said I'd be relieved on some level to see a ghost and know that there's an afterlife, but I'd also be really disappointed. Death is life's great mystery. Thinking about what happens or doesn't happen when we die has shaped all of us on some level. So to know for sure that the answer is ghosts is just so... And I think that's why those compilations are so popular. There are a lot of us who want to believe that there could be lots more out there, whatever it may be. I'd like to say that when I turn one on, it's solely for the camp value, and while that's definitely part of it, I'd be lying if I wasn't also looking for that rare video that makes me stop and think like, huh, maybe. What I don't ever want though is something that makes me say, oh, definitely. Because I actually really like the maybe. At the end of the day, I think that life is a lot like a painting, you know? You're supposed to look at it and find your own meaning in it. And anything that over-explains it kind of ruins the fun. So yeah, that's my video. Please like and subscribe and share and comment and turn on notifications and like tell your friends, I guess. Say like, hey, you want to click this? They don't have to like me, they just need to click on me. That'll help me. I don't know. I have not been growing very much recently, which is concerning. Whatever, we're all gonna die one day. Also, if you really want to support me, you can consider subscribing to my Patreon or super thanksing me, which, speaking of, I have some super thanks to super thanks back. So, thank you to Toxic Soup, B Bureau 12, Laura Chow 8150, and the Crafty Witch UK. I appreciate ya. Another way you can support the channel is by buying things that you want, because recently I've been selling toilet paper in a way that I get a small portion of the toilet paper if you do that. And a lot of people were like, why not sell yarn? Because that makes more sense. So I've made a little list of the yarns that I like to use on Amazon, and if you buy through that link, I will presumably get a little chunk. We will see. And I've also included the normal links to toilet paper and paper towels. Also, thank you so much to Trainwell. I genuinely really love this app. It's been a game changer for me. I feel the healthiest I have in a while. I'm not just saying that. Recently I went to a doctor and they told me I was overweight. And for the first time in my life, I was able to honestly say, I think a lot of that's muscle. So that was fun. But yeah, that's my video. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye. Just kidding, that's not my video. I still got the one little part left where I pose with... Just kidding, that's not the video. I still have the part where the patron's name scroll and I pose for a thumbnail. And for this one, I feel like I should just be scared, a little scared. Actually, I should probably pose with the painting. So yeah, I'm gonna go get the painting. 1 second. I guess I can still talk. I got a wireless mic recently, so I think this is picking up. But I'm in the other room where the painting is and I'm getting it. Creepy. Hi. Okay. I love it, but I don't like touching it. I feel like I need to respect it by leaving where it is. I don't know if you guys are hearing this. I might just be talking to myself. Well, okay. Here we go. So, here she is. One last time. And I feel like monitoring. Huh? Oh no. I hope you know that I'm not mocking you, painting. I'm just I am being ironic. I love you. So don't get mad at me. Doorbell's ringing. Well, hopefully they'll leave. I don't know. I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, aren't I? I guess my thumbnail footage is gonna be. I have a new monitor. So normally when so I got a new teleprompter that fits an iPad because I have been using one that fits my phone, and I think that has been affecting my speech. And this one allows me just to read it more as I would talk. And the only downside is it blocks the viewfinder to my camera, so I had to get a little external monitor. So I got the cheapest one, which was weird because it came without a back. Like I can just see the circuit board, but like it was the cheapest one, so I got it, and it's now there. So now I can't see myself pose in the same way because it's like a different eye line. Recording's really weird, you know. Actors, I gotta give them credit because if they can do this all without thinking, then they're better than me. But like, I feel like I'm gonna blur it so people will click in to see the painting. But like, oh God. Oh no. Oh. Again, not mocking you. You're beautiful. Keep doing what you're doing. I should probably see who's at the door, huh? I don't like keeping her off the wall for too long. So let's just call it there. Happy Halloween in 3 months. 2 months. Yay. 3 months. It's August, September, October. 2 months. 2.5. What am I doing? Goodbye.